Hey girl, hey, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Misha. Thank you guys for joining me yet again for another review. We are back with a brand new review for Ready to Love Season 7, Episode 7. If you are new here, then welcome. I give lighthearted reviews with a little bit of laughter and a little bit of shade and a whole lot of detail. If you're back for a second or third time, then welcome back. Y'all, please don't hesitate to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you get anything out of the content. Now, child, let's get into it if we gonna get into it. When the episode first opens up, we pick up with Jeffrey and Susu still arguing about Blake while he sits back and smirks because in his twisted mind, he thinks they're fighting over him. But they are not, sir. Okay? You and your faux hawk, they are not fighting over you. So Morgan is like, how can you believe that liar, Susu? Like, what is wrong with you? Girl, that's what we trying to figure out. That's what we all want to know. How can you believe Blake over anybody? Now, I'm telling you right now, I do not believe nothing that Blake is talking about. But that's just me. So Tommy tells them, y'all go ahead and eat. But after dessert, somebody going to be going home. Now, my initial thought was, now who you think going to have an appetite after you tell us a man and a woman is going home? Child, when he said that, it's like, it made me think of how they let you work the entire day before they fire you. Like, don't be getting my hours, honey, and then firing me at the end. Child, please. Moving forward. So everybody disperses. And so Blake is over there lying to Sue-Ann, talking about, I feel like when she attacked you and, you held your own, that argument brought us closer. I'm sure it did. Both of y'all are obsessed with Jeffrey, child. So Jeffrey is talking to Andre, asking him if he felt she handled the beef with grace. Ma'am, what is happening? What is happening? She's like, because, I just really don't like confrontation. Quit lying. Ma'am, quit lying, honey. Didn't you just tell Blake he too old to lie? Jeffrey is over there giving Andre her best Meryl Streep. She over there talking about, are you sure that you're okay with the way that I handle things? Girl, goodbye. Over on the other side, Jonique and Tony, they flirting, honey. She wants some of that reposado. Okay, she was like, listen, you know how you act when you gone off that reposado? I'm trying to see what that be like. Baby, Joe something else. Joe was like, listen, you said you be something, honey. You be on demon time when you gone off that liquor. So I'm just trying to figure out what it do. And he was like, nah. So they flirting back and forth or whatever. While they doing that, Morgan is telling Anthony that she feels like he wants to be pursued and queens don't chase. I know that's right, honey, period. Okay, now Morgan, listen, I'm with you on the queens don't chase, but it kind of feels like you're chasing Tony a little bit. Okay, because it's like he be saying stuff and you be like, no, you're mine. Your lips are mine. You're all mine. Like, it's giving chase. Okay, just so we're not confused. But you are absolutely right. Queens don't chase. They don't, honey. Anthony and his gangster lean ain't the only one that want to be chased. So then Marcia is sitting at the table as well. And she says she feels like Anthony goes for low-hanging fruit. Anybody that he has to work a little bit harder for, he don't want nothing to do with it. But no, sis, because Cynthia is definitely not low-hanging fruit. I like Cynthia. And Anthony likes Cynthia. Now, Susu, honey, that's something different, child. Moving forward. Over on the other side, Jonique is talking to Lyndon. And she's like, you know what? I wonder how it is when you like somebody and they don't like you back. Lyndon said, yeah, about that. He said, I liked both Morgan and Mercedes, honey, and Mercedes put me in the friend zone. Child, she didn't know. Lyndon, she didn't know, child. You and your hoochie daddy shorts, child, she ain't know. Over on the other side, Andre pulls Mercedes to the side, honey, because he got something to get off his tendril. Do you hear me? Baby, he pissed. So he pulls her over to the side. He was like, yeah, I was really hurt that you didn't check on me. Why didn't you check on me? She said, listen, to be quite honest with you, it really was not on my list of priorities and out of sight, out of mind. And I was basically fostering my other connections. Well, baby, that pissed him off. He said, okay, in the confessional, he gonna say, now that I see who she is, I don't want nothing to do with her. Okay, bye, sir. You coming back in your Temptations blazer with your tendril all in a bunch? Nobody cares, honey. We don't give a damn. You were gone, Andre. So in all fairness, why would she continue to try to get a relationship with you when you're not on the show? What is she going to do with the people on the show? Like, did y'all have plans for her to leave the show if you should not come back? Like, it just don't make no sense to me. They pan over to Morgan and she's telling Tony the same thing that she does every episode, honey. Telling him he too friendly. He talk too much. He be kikiing in them heifers' faces. Okay, listen to me, Morgan. I'm speaking directly to you, honey. Beautiful woman, but let's get into it. If you have to tell him that every interaction, that may be who he is. So you should move accordingly. Okay? You shouldn't have to keep telling him. I ain't got to tell you something you already know. Okay? Stop it already. She's like, I feel like you and Anthony both are like working the room. Honey, Andy is. So he was like, Anthony ain't got nothing to do with me. Okay? This is me and that's Anthony over there. She's like, I just feel like you do too much. Like, you need to just stop it. Stop it already. Okay, now I have my feelings about Tony. Pretty Tony, what they call him. I got my feelings about Tony, but Morgan is starting to get on my nerves. Okay? Now, when it comes to Blake, she's all the way in the right. But as far as Tony is concerned, it's starting to get on my nerves because clearly Tony is a big flirt. If you know it's too much, leave him where he's at. Like, this right here gives me high school vibes. Like, why you keep talking to her? Every time I come down the hallway, I see you talking to her. This is a process to get to know other people. If you claiming Lyndon and his needs are on your radar, then you should let him navigate toward you. You don't have to keep reminding him. I was like, girl, I say, what now? Like, I don't want to have to keep reminding you of what I give. Either you going to know what I give or not. Okay? And then you're going to choose me or not. Moving forward. So Tommy comes out and tells them that it's time for them to deliberate. So he pulls the men to the side so they can talk about the ladies. And then he meets with the ladies so they can talk about the men. So Tommy asks who Cynthia's top was. And she said Andre. And Jeffrey said Andre as well. He was in her top since the very beginning. Over with the men, 3 or 4 men are saying Jeffrey. Jeffrey, Jeffrey, Jeffrey. I'm sure she is in everybody's top. Because Jeffrey done casted her net with everybody. And she's playing a numbers game as well. The men are not the only one playing the long game. Jeffrey, you ain't slick, honey. You and that baby voice, and y'all ain't fooling me. So Mercedes over with the women, she was like, well, Mark Anthony, we got a vibe and whatnot. Sue Ann is like, well, I had a great conversation with Blake, and he sealed it with a kiss. Child, it was crickets. When I tell y'all, did not nobody say nothing when she said, and we sealed it with a kiss. Everybody was looking like, and what else is going on? Child say, what now? Ooh, honey. Jeffrey said in the confessional, I feel like Blake is using Sue Ann for votes. Of course he is. A blind man can see it, honey. I called that 4 episodes ago. Paula, tink tink. So Morgan said Tony, of course. So did Marcia and Joe. And Mercedes said Mark Anthony. And Jeffrey's like, yeah, Mark Anthony's in my top. He always finds a way to like get me and grab me and pull me in. I'm like, girl, gone. Back over with the men. He's asking them who they're feeling. Tony is reciting haiku about Morgan, child. He's like, she's the moon and the stars above. He's like, the sunset fell upon us and then we kissed, and it was not 1 kiss, but 2, 3, 4, 5. Tommy said, y'all making out at that point. I love when Tommy interjects, child. Tommy said, y'all making out at that point, honey. He said, yeah. So then Tommy looks to Lyndon, and Lyndon said, well, we had a great date, but we ain't do no 5 or 6, 7 kisses. But Morgan is up there. I feel like she's my piece. No, she's the only piece of somebody that will talk to you, Lyndon. Y'all ain't got time to play with you. And y'all, side note, if looks could kill, the way that Tony was looking at Lyndon screamed Fatal Attraction. Now, I don't know if y'all seen it, honey, but you better go back and rewind them tapes. When I tell y'all it screamed Fatal Attraction, Tony said, I feel sorry for Lyndon. There's no way Morgan gonna be with him over me, especially with me in the mix. You sure? You seem a little threatened by him if you ask me. But maybe that's just me. So then Tommy asked the ladies who they aren't feeling. Here a Mark, there a Mark, everywhere a Mark, Mark Anthony. Honey, they were saying Mark Anthony left and right. I said, baby, not Mark finna get up out of here. So Morgan said Anthony was her number 1 choice at the mixer, but she didn't tell Tommy that. But since then, he's disregarded her like 3 times. They talked on the phone, and the next day, he didn't even speak to her. Oh, okay, well, girl, don't worry about him. Then we move on to the next, honey. Moving forward. Honey, you can use the catchphrase and everything. Move right on the hell along. If you don't want to talk, that's cool with me, because I don't even really just know you like that. So don't hit my line no more, because when you get in public, you get to acting funny style. So we good. Marcia said Anthony. She feels like there's a disconnect. So for the guys, of course, Andre said Mercedes. Talking about, she didn't check on me. Okay, sir, we get it. I'm not picking you. Shout out to Rara. Child, she ain't picking you. So move on. Lyndon and Andre, they said Sue because they're just not feeling him. Blake and his forever feelings. So he said Jeffrey, of course. He's like, I mean, she blatantly lied on me. Did she lie on you? Because I didn't hear you say you're lying on me. Okay. And he said Morgan, of course, because she wants kids at any cost. Now, listen to how he worded that. Morgan wants kids at any cost. And I was just thinking, like, did she say that to you? Because I feel like you're putting words in her mouth. When did she say, I want kids at any cost? Like, no matter who it's with, just give me a kid. Give me a kid. Like, I don't remember her saying that to you. Mark Anthony said Jonique. Anthony also said Jonique. Honey, Joe, you might have to go, child. So then Tommy reminds them that they still have the second chance lifeline. So the women can still use theirs and the men can still use theirs. So it's time for deliberations. Tommy calls Anthony and Mark Anthony down for the men. So the Anthonys are in front. So he tells Mark Anthony that the ladies feel like he might not be on the same path as them and they worry about the chemistry. That was translation for you might be too young. Okay. You might be an F boy. And because we are of a particular age, it's looking like it might be a hell now. Okay. For Anthony, they feel he may not be genuine and he may be playing a numbers game, but they said he's still ready to love. So for Mark Anthony, he's standing there sweating, child. Okay. Tommy said the ladies have used their lifeline. You are still ready to love. Child, this season is very production driven. What is Blake and his blockhead still doing here? Okay, what is he doing here? So Morgan is pissed, not at the choices, but at the fact that Blake is still around. Honey, Blake has 9 lives. At this point, I don't care if he stays or if he goes, as long as he doesn't get too much camera time, I'm good. Over for the ladies, Jonique and Sue were called to the front. So he tells Joe that the men feel like they're struggling to find a deeper connection. And with Sue, they don't feel that spark and they want to make sure that she isn't closed off to the process. Child, her and Blake can really leave together if they want to, because she is closed off to the process because she feels like her knight in shining armor is old blockhead Blake. Sue's like, I wonder if Blake is telling them about our connection. Girl, Blake cannot save you by him lonesome. Okay. He cannot save you by himself. Somebody else has to help. So if you don't get to know other people, then you and him can go to the house. So then the men decided that Joe wasn't ready to love. So as she's hugging everybody, Lyndon said, I'm sorry. She said, oh no, I'm not sorry. It's not sorry. I'm ready to love. I'm just not ready to love the men here. Baby, I know that's right. You definitely are leaving a winner because there's nothing here. Like nothing. She said, I'm upset that they didn't use the lifeline, but I'm okay with that because I'm leaving with grace. I know who I am, and I know that somebody's going to accept me for me and love me for who I am. I know that's right, honey. Exit with grace. Don't be nowhere that you are not wanted. Okay? As they say, go where you are celebrated, not where you are tolerated. Now, me personally, I'm not surprised they didn't use the lifeline for Joe. They should have, but they didn't. And Ready to Love think they slick. Okay, because I was thinking about some things and I may be wrong, but y'all just hear me out. They listen to our feedback. I'm not talking about through the reviews. I'm just talking about as a whole. When you comment underneath OWN's Instagram page, when they give you a little sneak peek of the next week's episode, when you tweet on the Twitter on Friday nights, when they listen to these reviews, they know and they have noticed that we always have something to say about them eliminating the thick girl, the home girl, real early on. So I feel like this season, production made sure that she wasn't eliminated first, but she definitely was not going to make it to the end. So they waited a little bit later. Now, that's just my theory, but child, they ain't fooling me. So Tommy tells them that today was the last day that they could use the lifeline. This season is all over the place. Tommy, why didn't you tell the people before they went into deliberation that this was the last day they could use the lifeline? You presented it to them as if they had forever to use it. I don't know what's happening, honey, but what I do know is they wasted a lifeline, but not really, because Joe should have left because her person's not there. Moving forward. So then Tommy lets them know there'll be no elimination this week, but they need to hone in on who they really want. In the next scene, Sue goes for a date with Anthony at his house. Okay, Anthony. Okay, I see. Nice crib, honey. Y'all know I'm looking for clues of an Airbnb, okay? Child, I was looking. I said, wait a minute. Let me make sure ain't no Airbnb remnants up in here. Now, I did see one lonesome picture that they had placed ever so on the granite countertops in the kitchen. But that don't mean nothing. Honey, you could have brought that right from home. Honey, the local Walgreens will print you out a photo in under an hour, child. And you could buy the frame from there. That's neither here nor there. That's just a side note. That's just a side note, honey. Anthony had a mat that said, "B, don't wear your shoes in my house," right? So Sue Ann in her confessional, she's like, "Oh, Anthony has a little thug in him." Girl, what? Anthony is not exactly giving Tupac. How does that mat scream thug? And I was thinking to myself, I need a mat like that. I mean, minus the B word, because I don't want to be cussing you out upon entrance, because, throw the whole vibe off and the energy. I wouldn't want the B word, but I love a good mat. And I hate shoes traipsing up and through my house. Okay? It's giving nasty. So Anthony said, I took some notes at elimination. That's what he said in his confessional. So I decided to invite Sue Ann over for a date because I want to really connect with my connections. Over on the other side, Jeffrey and Mark Anthony go out for a date. And, they get together. She's like, "Hey, I missed you. It's just something about the way that he looks at me." Child, that's all he gives is long stares. But if that's what gets you going. Back over with Anthony and Sue Ann, they're preparing dinner together. Well, she's the sous chef. Y'all get it? Sue Ann, sous chef. Y'all know I love a good corny joke. Oh, honey, every now and then. Boom, boom, shh. Anywho, honey, y'all gonna have to tolerate it. You done came over here, you gonna have to tolerate it. So anyway, she's like, "I feel like I'm being tested. If I can't make this salad, then you need to take me off your list. I am on your list, aren't I?" Why would you be there if you weren't on the list? Huh? Why not just enjoy the intimacy of cooking together? I don't know. Maybe it's just me because I felt like, Sue Ann, relax a little bit. So he said, "My list of..." Sir, what list do you think she's talking about? She ain't talking about the dean's list. She's talking about your list of women. Is she on your list or not? Like, sir, what are you talking about? So he getting on my nerves as well. They sit down to eat and he tells her, "You are on my list." So he asked if she was worried that she wasn't. And she was like, "Well, I mean, there's a lot of great women out there, so I was just asking." He said, "I agree, and some stick out more than others." What are y'all even talking about on this date? Child, get to know each other. What are y'all even talking about? She mad because he said some stuck out more than others. He talking about stuff that don't matter. What are y'all talking about? Watching Sue Ann eat while he awkwardly stared at her was so cringy. I was like, "Child, please cut to the next scene." And that's exactly what they did. Moving forward. In the next scene, Jeffrey and Mark Anthony are talking about what? I don't know. But she did say she had something to tell him. She was like, "It's something I want to tell you. And I'm a little bit nervous because I don't want you to hold it against me later. And I just feel like I have to keep this wall up." And he's just explaining to her, "Listen, with me, you can be soft. Okay? You don't have to be hard. You don't have to be strong. I can be your soft landing. It's going to be good." So she reveals to him that she has Crohn's disease. He going to say, "Wow." But then in the confessional, he goes on to say, "I was super confused because I had no idea what Crohn's disease was." Child, not you saying this out loud, honey. Some things you just, oh my goodness. You could have easily said, "Well, what symptoms are you experiencing with that?" And then she would have said that and in turn told you exactly what Crohn's disease was. Boy, I'm not about to play with you. So she tells him it's extreme fatigue and she gets pain in her abdomen and it's inflammation of the insides. So she was like, I just try to stay positive because of it. So that's why I'm always like chipper and upbeat, because stress can trigger some things. And as she was telling him that, I know that has to be hard with 3 small kids, because the last thing you need is fatigue when they're constantly on the go. Like, kids never stop. I mean, never. So I do pray that she's managing it well, because I cannot imagine that. So I do feel really bad for her about that. But I was wondering why she chose to reveal that to Mark Anthony. I don't know. I was just curious. So back at this drag of a date with Sue Ann and Anthony, child, she's telling him she's curious about his seduction language. Okay. Now, this is a serious question, y'all. Y'all can get me together in the comments if you would like. Am I uninformed or just too damn old? Because what is seduction language? Is that like love language? What is it? What is it? What is it? I said seduction language. How long have I been out the game? Y'all comment down below if y'all out here asking me in their seduction language. All I could think of was sexual seduction. You know I'm going to think of a song no matter what. So that's all I thought of was sexual seduction. And that's all I could hear. Okay, so she was saying, what is your seduction language? I was like, what? Child, you know what? Let me stop acting like Mark Anthony and hop on the Googler and see what in the hell is seduction language. Child, a moment. Okay, I'm going to get on the Googler and see what is seduction language, and am I just old or misinformed or uninformed or just ignorant? Okay, because I mean, Sue-Ann is, a lawyer and whatnot. Okay. Seductive language. Okay, Sue-Ann. It consists of a language of gestures, attitudes, words, and movements spoken by desire. Okay, because she was like, what is your seduction language? Honey, and I was confused, but it's seductive language. Okay, let's get into it. And I'm back. Child, is just a side note. She says she doesn't feel his sexual energy. Girl, because there's zero chemistry between y'all, that is why. She said at Hard Rock, I felt something was going on, but then you went back into your shell. Now, instead of him addressing what she just said, he said, we're going to dance before you go. Huh? We going to dance before you go. He just don't want to get voted off, child. The cha-cha slide ain't going to keep you here. So what you talking about? We going to dance before you go. She's like, our date, it ended on a high level and the dancing put him right back on top. Girl gone. Over on the other side, Mark Anthony is asking, how do the kids feel when you get sick? How do they feel about it? And she says she tries not to let them see her down and see her hurting. But when she's just too bad off, they take care of her. They love on her. You know how you do your mama. And he's like, that just shows that you're a great mother. She said, him thinking about my kids was an indication of how serious he is. Now, y'all might think, I'm a pessimist, but I have to say this. I personally feel that it was a safe question because he doesn't want to let on that he has zero knowledge about Crohn's disease. That's what it was giving me. Now, I might not gave it to nobody else, but that's what it was giving me. He was like, I don't see it as a barrier, but something that you can overcome. And I'm blown away at your outlook in life. Now, I did appreciate him, patting her on the back for not, victimizing herself or saying, I have this, woe is me, or leading with that as soon as she meets someone. So I did appreciate him saying that. So she's like, thank you. So then he leans in and kisses her. Okay. He's like, that kiss drew us closer. It had to. You were damn near sitting in her lap. I was like, what is going on? Now for me, I feel that kiss was misplaced. I feel like it was the wrong time to be kissing. It seemed awkward. And sir, I feel like you just want sex. I do not think you are ready to handle what she's going through physically and them 3 children. And you ain't fooling me, Mark Anthony. Okay. It's just something about him leaning in for a kiss at that moment. It just had me like, okay, I guess. I don't know. It's just like I'm telling you something about me and you lean in and want to get physical. I don't know. I don't know, child. So Jeffrey was like, I was nervous because I like all 3 men equally. Girl, please. You didn't even brush your hair when you went to meet old Blue Eyes. You do not like all 3 of them equally. If we're really being real, Mark Anthony will be your top priority, but he over there flirting around with Mercedes. Moving forward. Speaking of Mercedes goes for a date with Mark Anthony. So they start talking. And so she was asking him about what got him into taking flight lessons. And he said, I just looked in the cockpit and I was like, why are all these old white men in here? Are they the only ones that fly planes? I really thought that's what it was. So I asked them and then they told me that you can take flight lessons. And I was like, what? He said once he started classes, he got addicted. I can see Mark Anthony in his pilot uniform. I definitely could see him standing by the door when you get ready to deboard the plane. I really can see it. So she says she's also taking flight classes and wants to get her pilot license too, to show that you can be young, feminine, a female, a minority, and still achieve that. Yes, ma'am, honey. I love that. Actually, I would love to see 2 pilots getting married. Baby, I love it. Let's get into it. Over on the other side, Morgan and old Slick Willie, aka Tony, they going out. So he asked her how she felt about him. And she was like, I really like you. Parts of me, like you, and then part of me is terrified. Child, all of me is terrified. So she's like, I just feel like you play too much. He said, I'm focused. She said, yeah, make sure you focus on the right things. You need to focus on me. This little song and dance is getting so old. And again, Morgan, allow him to show and prove. Child, ain't got nothing for y'all. Moving forward. Back over here with Mark Anthony and Mercedes, they're flirting, they're touching, she's rubbing on his arms. He's like, you keep rubbing on me, more than a genie in a bottle gonna pop up. Well, baby, she was rubbing even harder. Do you hear me? So, baby, they throwing out all the little sexual innuendos. They seem to have a lot of chemistry, and it's young and fun, and aesthetically they look great together. He even dresses differently when he's out with her. With Jeffrey, he has on his button down, his belted slacks. But with Mercedes, he was more, more casual. Just a t-shirt and leaning in, and you know how you like to do, child. Staring into your soul and whatnot. I feel like they give young co-ed love at an HBCU. Like they definitely give that couple. Like you see Mark Anthony and Mercedes, or Eminem, as I like to affectionately call them. Have you seen Eminem? Back over with Morgan and Tony, they're talking about Lyndon. So Morgan says she likes that Lyndon doesn't back down from him. He is not afraid of Tony. So Tony is like, that's not going to end well for him though. So he said that Lyndon is not a threat to him. Tony gives me the heebie-jeebies. Like the way he speaks about Lyndon, like, sir, it's giving threatened, okay? So she brings up his other connections, and he was like, well, what do you think about that? She said, I don't care, but you need to clean it up. Girl, you definitely care. Back over with Mercedes and Mark Anthony, they over there kissing, and I mean kissing. See, this is what I'm talking about. Mark Anthony just wants to bag somebody because you just kissed Jeffrey. He uses that same look with every single lady. He uses those same big old doe eyes to hypnotize the ladies. He ain't fooling me. But aside from that, Mercedes and Mark Anthony actually make a cute couple. I just don't think he's gonna be serious. I feel like he getting ready to waste her time. Child, that's what this should be called. Ready to waste time. So it took me some time. Wasted. Okay? Child, hashtag wasted on the Twitter. But at least their kiss gave real. Okay, it gave organic. That was a kiss, okay? A kiss that could lead to a little Netflix and chilling. I hope y'all went to separate houses. Because Mercedes, you was licking that tongue out every 5 minutes, honey, and don't think I wasn't watching. Back with Morgan and Tony, she asked how he felt about her. Now, y'all listen to this. She asked him, how do you feel about me? This man said, we look good together. What? I would ask for the check. Why would you want to continue when his answer, when asking about you, is we look good together? So then she gets in her confessional and goes, I think we gained some clarity. I did too. I gained some clarity from this date. You starting to work my central nervous system, and he's creepy and surface level. That's that on that. Side note, Mercedes was throwing them looks right back at Mark Anthony. Did y'all notice that? And baby, he done met his match. In the next scene, Morgan is going to meet up with Blake. Baby, this right here was something else. He said he wanted to gain some clarity with her. He's like, I'm not sure what happened, but I didn't intend to offend her, so I want to get together and talk about it. So he showed up. So she asked him how he felt about her saying what she said about the way he came off. So Blake apologized, but he's like, I want you to tell me exactly what I did. Like, what did I say to offend you? Well, why did you apologize to her? If you don't know what you did, then you just apologizing all empty. Anyway, she was like, why did you even apologize if you don't know what you did? He said, I know I hurt you. She said, no, you didn't hurt me. I said you weren't kind, but you didn't hurt me. Child, I'm wondering why Blake is sitting down with Morgan to clear up anything. The first impressions are lasting ones, and y'all didn't make a good one on each other. So why are we sitting down? So she brings up what he said about her wanting kids to be happy when she told him that she's the happiest that she's ever been. And she feels like he talked her into a corner. And when he said 80% of things she wants out of life she won't achieve because she wants children wasn't cool. He gonna say, that's because I have kids. And most people with kids share the same sentiment. Well, I am so happy that I am not among most people. Okay? Because I absolutely feel like you can still achieve what you want with kids. Granted, it may be a little bit tougher, but how can you discount 80% of your life because you decide to have children? Like, well, what are you talking about? And clearly you up and doing your thing and leaving the mothers with their kids. Because, honey, I don't know if you're active or not, but clearly it didn't stop you from doing this show. Is that a part of your 80 or a part of your 20? Oh, okay. So then she brought up the whole Jeffrey thing. And he said, I didn't want to address it, but it grew like a cancer. She said, no, actually, you're a cancer, but not a benign one. You're a malignant cancer. Wow. Okay. Oh, child. When I tell you that was rough and I was a little bit perplexed, I'm like, oh, honey, it's really taking a turn. So then she started going off. Do you hear me? She said, I don't think you deserve to be here. It's disgusting. The way you use these beautiful women for your own selfish gain. Baby, she is going off. Tommy said there was no elimination, but honey, Morgan is still letting Blake know he not ready to love. So it took me some time. Baby, Morgan is eliminating Blake. She does not want him in her peripheral. She don't want him nowhere around her. So he said, well, your opinion matters not. Basically, he said you can feel how you want, but he don't give a damn. He don't care nothing about it. Baby, when I tell y'all this was tense, Blake trying not to show his crazy and Morgan is unleashed. When I say she went off on him, and it was very well deserved. Now listen to me. At first, I was like, dang, girl, you sound hurt to me. But then I remembered what he said during elimination. Morgan just wants kids at all cost. Why don't you get out of her uterus? Okay. Don't worry about what she has. And just because you're jaded because you had kids, stop projecting what you went through onto other people. So that read that she gave you, you earned it. Now that's a read. Baby, she read you down. It definitely upset her. Okay. Because two things can be true at the same time. She read him down, but it did upset her. I feel like that comment hurt her. Because what he said made her feel away, and she's been holding on to it all this time. She came there to get it off her chest. Morgan is the definition of a first impression is a lasting impression. And Blake, you did not make a good one. And that was the end of the episode. Y'all comment down below and tell me exactly what y'all thought about this episode. What did you think about Mark Anthony kissing Jeffrey and Mercedes back to back like that? Like, it's a lot of stuff going around and being exchanged, child. I don't know how I feel about that. I ain't like it. Okay, just in case we weren't clear. Child, please don't hesitate to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And as always, stay safe, stay blessed, spread love, not germs. Peace.